Hey, creative friends. Welcome to Tracy Bautista Color. I am thrilled you are here. Today, I am going to start to share a series of videos with you to give you a peek into my creative practice. So earlier this year, I started incorporating oil paint into my mixed media work. And so you'll get a little peek in how I've been using Williamsburg oils with my Tracy Bautista Color products and some acrylic mediums. And I'm going to talk through the process of developing this new body of work that I've been working on that has to do with abstract landscapes. So I started this particular body of work in February of this year. And so these videos are from that time, and you get to see a little bit of the collection unfold. And I talk a little bit about what I am working on, my ideas, some of the struggles that I've had, some of the things I don't like about what I painted in the studio that day. But I hope you enjoy just a peek into my process. I don't get to paint every day, so when I do, I really love to take notes. So sometimes those are video notes in these like studio notes here. And you can see I've got Indy's toys are behind me on the couch, and you see a little bit of my messy studio table back there with lots of paintings. So enjoy a little peek inside my studio, and I'd love to know if you want to see more videos like this. I know I love seeing artists' studios and their creative process. So enjoy a little peek into my new abstract landscape collection. And again, these are just the beginnings of the work. A lot of it's from my play sessions. So they are kind of the ideation process, the beginnings. So there are a lot of mark making, a lot of texture play, a lot of playing with different paints and colors, just to really get an understanding of where I want this body of work to go. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to share more about the collection throughout the time that I develop it. It's not something that I have a timeline for. It's something that I'm working on in between all of the other work that I have to do, and between teaching and between developing my paint collection. So I really hope you enjoy a peek into the process. Okay, everybody, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care. Hey, creative friends. Welcome back to my studio. I am back in my painting studio after taking a big break for the holidays, and I'm actually teaching myself how to oil paint. I have really wanted to dive in, and I've been reading books and just exploring. Watched a couple of videos on YouTube. Golden has an awesome channel where they did a bunch of live streams that just talked about how to use the Williamsburg paints, and so that's what I'm using, along with my pigment bars, and layering on top of some of my Tracy Bautista Color paintings on mixed media paper. So these are my inks and paints that are on mixed media paper. Underneath this one, which is still in progress, is also a bunch of my inks and watercolors, and then the pigment bars, that big red mark right there is one of my pigment bars, and they blend so well with the oil paints. So I've been having a lot of fun just exploring and playing and experimenting. But if you look really closely, I don't know if you've ever worked with oil paints or not, but look at the luminosity. It's just so beautiful. And so right now I'm just playing with the Williamsburg paints. I'm actually going to start making some of my own colors to mix in with the paints, some oil paints, not to sell, but just to make with the pigments that I have. So I actually have been mixing my pigment bars with different drying oils and using those as oil paint and as drawing tools. And so I'm liking this direction and these over here. When I started, I wanted to kind of try and paint a landscape. I've been exploring doing some abstract landscapes, and this did not turn out how I wanted it to. But I was also trying to understand how the paints layer. So there's some really fun texture in there, though. I'm trying to show you close up. I'm turning the page, but I did a little bit of scratching into sgraffito. I also added some oil pastel. Some of my pigment bars are in there. And what I love, though, is and a lot of these are just tests to see how they layer, but if you can look closely there, I'm trying to do the sideways. I load my brush with multiple colors so you can see. I mean, I don't pre-mix all the colors, so I love that idea and that technique. See how you have some purple and pink in the brush stroke? That's because I don't fully mix the colors. And then also just playing with the texture of the brush, stamping with the edge of I think that's a cat's tongue brush. And I really do love this, though. That is really pretty. So that is a mixture of phthalo green and titanium white. And it makes this that beautiful kind of turquoisey bright pop of color. So right now I'm just playing with the, what set is this? I think it's the modern set. Let me look, I forget. I took the label off of here, and this little guy, I don't think it tells me. I didn't use all the colors, but out of this set, I love the phthalo blue, the Egyptian violet, the Quin gold brown, and the phthalo green and phthalo blue make a beautiful dark. I don't know if you can see it underneath there. Kind of this, which one is it? It's kind of this dark bluish color. It might be that one there. I can't remember. So anyways, also I love the texture on this one. That was fun. Underneath the background there are my latest collection, the holiday collection is underneath there, the watercolors. And so I painted right over the top of that. That was actually just a cleanup paper. I should have taken a photo of it prior. Just some of my pigment bar swatches. And then I wanted to kind of go into the wild blooms that I was painting some midsummer, late last year. And so this one just is the underpainting right now. And I'll do some more work on top of that. But I'm really loving the more abstract floral shapes. And so this one is on mixed media paper, the 400 series Strathmore paper. But look at I just love that shine, that sheen. It's so pretty. The Williamsburg paints are so buttery. and they're fun to work with. This was similar to this piece here, so I just painted right on top of it and just used that. So some of the background, you can actually see like some of it peeking through, which is nice as far as the underpainting goes. So it's just a little bit more abstract. And these are still a work in progress too, so I need to pull out my new sets of paints. I just got a bunch of new Williamsburg paints in. And then the brushes I've been using. One is this little color shaper thingy to push the paint around. I just used, for my palette this time, I used a small ceramic tile. Which actually worked, it worked actually pretty good just for what I did. And I did all of this work on that little tile, but you can see that I probably need to move to my big marble slab, but I was just experimenting and I didn't think I was going to paint that much. I came in to paint like one little thing, and then I ended up painting all of this. So, and then I cleaned off some of these brushes. So some of them are clean-ish. But I've been painting with a few different silver brushes. So the Grand Prix series, Monza, I love these brushes. These are synthetic brushes, and you can really scrub into the page with them. One of my favorites is this little, I love a dagger striper, and so that's what this is. This is also what is this, the Bristle-On? There we go. I don't know why it didn't focus earlier. That's the Bristle-On dagger striper in 1/4 inch. So I did these marks with that. I need to go back in and finish this little floral. But this is actually kind of a continuation from some of the Sunrise Studio sessions that I did back in 2020. That's what that reminds me of, that botanical. And then, so Bristle-On, Grand Prix, and Monza are pretty much the ones that I've been using for this. And then a couple of these little scraper ceramic tools. I just got these on Amazon, and they were for my ceramics class, but I love painting with them, so I use those. And then I've got a couple of palette knives too. There's these two skinnier ones, and then this one is this one is like my workhorse one. What's the brand? This one is one of my favorites. And I think that's about it. Most of this is on Arches oil paper, and then also Strathmore Mixed Media, the one that has my art on the cover, this paper. But if you're going to use that, it needs to have some kind of primer, so that's why I've been painting over my paintings, so you see how the oil's not going to seep through. So it's a great little test paper. I love this paper because it is so smooth. So if you look at it, I mean, there's a lot of texture in my paint right there, but let's see, compare that to what the Arches looks like. And you can tell the Arches has more of it's not really cold press, but it does have a texture, so you can actually see it. I guess it is kind of like a cold press versus this mixed media paper definitely has like no texture on it. Well, maybe just a tiny bit. So I grabbed a stack of my artwork over here. So these are my 5 collection, I think, and the fall collection of 2022. And I was playing with these really like freestyle wild florals. And this is my pigment bars with a little bit of oil mixed in them. And so I'm going to use these as my underpaintings. Actually, some of them I might keep. They're kind of fun. Just really loose floral bouquets. And then I grabbed a bunch of pieces of paper that already have some type of either super matte medium, which is like my favorite golden medium. I put that on everything. And then this was also playing with my pigment bars on. This is the acrylic paper. Let's see what it says. From Strathmore. So this was the holiday pigment bars and linseed oil. And I did this back in November of last year. And so I test on different papers because I want to see what's going to happen. And you can see how the pigment pigment bars dried with the olive oil, with the linseed oil. But you can see that texture. It looks like a canvas. I think there's some colored pencil on there. And so I make these little samplers, color samplers, just to test out the color and also the paper. I don't think I'm a big fan of this canvas looking paper, but I wanted to try it. It's great. I love the paper. It's nice and heavy. I'm just talking about how it looks with my artwork. So I don't know if I would paint on there, but I wanted to experiment. Let's see what else is in here. Oh, I've got a little journal that has a bunch of, I don't think I'll oil paint in there, but that was on this stack of paper. This was what I was talking about. This was back from 2020, this series of work. And so I think it would be fun to kind of start exploring how to paint them in oil and see how that goes. So there's just lots of like random pieces in here, testing out different brushes, gel prints. These are probably from like 2015, but these are great collage pieces. Lots of prints using my stencils. This is the kaleidoscope floral stencils, and then the soulful scribbles, which that would make a great underpainting too. To cover it with probably some super matte medium. So I have a ton of these pages, and so I just grabbed a bunch just to play. And more swatches. This is natural. What is this? Water. This was ochre from the Oakland Hills. So that was found pigments that I made into paints. So some of these I think I'll definitely use for some collage and working over the top. Hey creative friends, welcome back to Tracy Bautista Color, and I am in the paint studio today, and this is some of the work I've been experimenting with actually this was all from today. I did a little bit of a color palette with the Williamsburg oils and some of my pigment bars that are wax paint and some Caran d'Ache neopastels. And I've been just doing a lot of little studies just to see how the paints react. And I'm switching back and forth from like my abstract landscape idea to some of the really abstract floral pieces. These are some of the ones I did last week, so it's a little bit different color palette. But I started painting, actually cleaning my brushes off on this Canson XL sandpaper, which it's not for oil paint, so it actually kind of bleaches through, but it actually is a nice base, and it dries. It helps the paint dry really quickly. So I can just kind of experiment. Thinking maybe I might just put some gesso on the back, but these are really, these are just for my own sketchbook practice and just to see what the paints do, how they layer, and how I can mix media with them. So I'm really loving these kind of wild backgrounds. I may crop them a little bit like that and then do some painting over them. But I like the messiness of it, and it's kind of the first layer. So I did that over here underneath. I don't think I took a photo of it, but then I started painting my abstract florals over the top just in random directions because I'm just testing the colors, and I'm really loving this idea of the wild and messy background with these more more free-flowing florals over the top. So I think I may play with that idea just a little bit more. It started here. So kind of really inspired by a lot of the mark making I did back with my Sunrise Studio sessions. In 2020, I was painting a lot of these kind of botanical abstract floral pieces. And so I am bringing that mark back into some of this work. This was just cleaning up different brushes, and I really love the background there. So I think we'll see what happens if I paint over it, or I might just leave it. We'll see. But I've got a marble tile here, and I've been using that as my palette. I've got a little bit of oil medium with a little bit of calcite in there, and just a bunch of silver brushes, and some of my pigment bars. So these actually work great to scribble into the paint while it's wet, but also to use it as a paint underneath too. So that's a little update from my studio play today. And I hope you enjoyed a little peek inside my studio practice and how I develop my abstract work. I'll be sharing more about this in my upcoming live workshop series called Abstract Playground. I'd love for you to connect with me on Instagram at Tracy Designs, or visit my website at tracybautistacolor.com. Thanks for watching.